If you like this episode, please subscribe, share with others, rate and review so we can continue to bring you great programming.
This is The Thing About Cars, a podcast for car enthusiasts and the people who love them.
Hello and welcome to The Thing About Cars. I'm Mickey Desai, one of your hosts. We got a full table today and a very exciting guest. Let's do our voice check around the table first. Tim, how are you?
Footloose and fancy free.
Misty, how goes it in the Netherlands?
It is sunny. There are people on terraces. It's an amazing day. We've actually had sunshine for like a record-breaking 4 days in a row.
That's amazing.
It is. It's absolutely amazing.
Ben, how are you, sir?
Maybe not amazing, but pretty darn good.
I think
How about
you're
you?
amazing. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for asking. I'm large. It's good. And our special guest for today, I think this person who I'm going to ask to be my new girlfriend. Her name is Annie Koehler. Annie, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Annie's claim to fame is what are we calling it, Annie? The U.S. Burnout Queen? Is that the correct title?
Well, I have all kinds of nicknames, and the one that seems like it has stuck is Hot Rod Granny Annie.
I love it.
Nice.
So that's my handle on YouTube and wherever else that I can make myself over to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and I saw the videos, and just what you're doing with that car, it makes me laugh and it just makes me happy. It's kind of weird. I've never been into the whole burnout scene before, but I'm just having fun with it. You guys, please jump in with your questions for Annie. I've got a number of weird things to ask her, but they've also seen at least one video. Tim, you got anything on your mind?
Annie, I was wondering what your history of car ownership is. You want to hit the highlights of the cars you've owned?
Oh, sure. My car ownership would probably start in the 60s because I was young when I got married and I didn't actually get my own car until I went a little farther. But I've had about 100 cars. I wanted a car dealership. My husband worked on cars and he worked at a little local dealership and kept old cars going. And so I got the pick of the old cars. And so I got to drive just about anything I ever wanted to. And we had everything from Corvettes to Ford Falcons to station wagons to drag cars. Just wow. My ownership, probably my first ownership car was a 678 Buick I bought new with a 6-cylinder 3-speed. My son tells the story. We took it back because the clutch was chattering, and I had been working with them trying to get them to agree to see it and hear the clutch chatter. And they said it was because I was a woman and didn't know how to drive it. So he likes to tell I stuck it on the floor and dumped the clutch and burned all the way out of the place. And he's right, I did. But yeah, my ownership, I own this Cadillac.
Yeah.
My boy will get it when I croak. So
it's a beautiful Cadillac too, but
Yeah.
Thank you.
I made a mistake. Tim, we have to do our trivia question, don't we? Grand trivia.
We do. Yes, you like threw it over to me, and I even forgot to say.
We all forgot.
We should start with trivia.
Right. So yes.
So our trivia question for this week is: what was the first mass-produced American car to have an engine with 1 horsepower per cubic inch displacement? And we have 4 choices.
Per cubic inch. Okay.
Right. Was it the 1956 Chrysler 300 with a 354 cubic inch V8? The 1957 Corvette with a 283 cubic inch? Was it the 1958 Ford Thunderbird with a 352 cubic inch V8? Or was it the 1957 Lincoln Continental Mark II with a 368 cubic inch V8?
Those are all very specific.
So we'll come back at the end for this, but our choices again: the 56 Chrysler 300, 57 Corvette, 58 Thunderbird, or the 57 Continental.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. We'll answer that.
Let's mull that over for the next half hour.
So I love the Cadillac that you're driving, Annie. It's beautiful. It's a work of art, pure white walls. It's excellent. But in the scene that I've seen down here in Atlanta, doing burnouts is sort of a very different culture, right? And it's a good way to destroy a bunch of tires and possibly even damage your car. but the way you do burnouts, you're not really endangering the car as such, are you?
Well, you could endanger the rear quarter panel, I suppose, if your tire let go and just everything worked out just right. You could wipe it out. But Jamie can fix anything I can tear up, so I don't even think about it. I did blow a tire at Evansville last year, and it messed with the electrical system. So I had a window that went down by itself, and we're looking at it like, what the heck's going on here? And then the seat started going forward, and I guess I could have been crushed, but
oh gosh.
Anyway, it all worked out. We're working on the wiring this winter, so I got a new wiring harness. Going to have all new wires all the way.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Great. And the tires, I think the big deal about the tires is just the money. That's the biggest thing about tires.
Yeah.
Right.
But we get some used ones.
I was going to say, that's just the nature of the game, isn't it, though? It's just
money.
Yeah.
It's all about the money.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to spend on these hobbies.
Well, the good news there, though, is that modern tires are just so dang good.
Yeah.
You know, my dad who was around back in the 50s, and he told me once that back then you couldn't really do a lot in the way of burnouts because the tires didn't fit the rims as closely as they do today. Then the wheel might spin within the tire and whack off the valve stem.
Yes, anything could happen.
Misty's not going after that joke.
I am trying so hard to behave myself. I am really.
I'm sure Dave will be proud of you.
Either that or highly disappointed in me. Dave, consider this a birthday present, man.
Happy birthday, Dave. Exactly.
Happy birthday, Dave.
It is his birthday, Annie. You haven't met Dave, but he's one of our regulars, and today is actually his birthday. So
yeah,
well, that's cool.
I always forget that his birthday is a month before mine.
Well, that's neat. Easy to remember.
Yeah, it's easy to remember. So I just want to say that in the past, a lot of people have heard me say when I grow up, I want to be Nanny Ogg. And if you don't know who Nanny Ogg is, I can only recommend that you read the Discworld series.
Okay.
I think I've changed my mind. When I grow up, I think I want to be Annie.
Oh my goodness sake!
Well, it's
not to turn the attention too far away from Annie here, but Misty, if you were to do this, what would you be burning out?
Oh, I'd probably still have to stick with Claudette.
Yeah.
It's she's just. I mean, she's got the torque for that.
Yeah, you're just in love with that car. Gotcha.
Or an Miata. Okay, or MX-5. I should say.
Yeah, it's an MX-5 Miata. It's a 2016 MX-5 Miata ND in Soul Red, and that is my baby girl.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
You've said you've used a phrase a few times that I want to make sure our viewers knew our listeners know what we're talking about here. What does it mean to dump a clutch?
Well, you just rev the engine up. You got the clutch in. Rev the engine up, however high you want to go. My boys have a rev limiter on my Cadillac because they don't trust me. And so you rev it up as far as you want to take it, and then you just let the clutch fly. And down the road you go with smoke and tires squalling, and it's all fun and games. So you get a ticket.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've done that more than once. Especially, I have a tendency to dress, when I'm not at home, and like now I'm in a hoodie, but outside in life, I tend to dress very feminine, especially very 1950s vintage.
Oh, cool.
So here you've got this, very obvious femme person, in a sports car, and you've got some 23-year-old guy in his Volkswagen Polo. And, I grew up in a garage. My granddad was a mechanic. I used to do the tune-ups on my 1978 Toyota Corolla. And I absolutely refuse to drive an automatic transmission. It is against every bit of religion I have in my body. We'll be at a red light here in the Netherlands, and this little guy, he thinks he's going to beat me off the red light.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, son, I don't know what to tell you, except for, I learned to drive in a I don't even know what year it was. It was a 4-wheel drive Subaru station wagon, 5-speed in a cow pasture.
That's the place to learn.
Yeah.
Pasture. It's a good
place. So, I mean, and the fact, that, like I said, you've done long distance trucking, you've done, the phrase dump a clutch. I mean, I'm just sitting here, I'm sorry, I'm fangirling. So, just kind of wheel me off to the side.
Well, I I didn't road drive a truck. I did local truck driving with a road construction company for 10 years. I was a card carrying Teamster. Kept my CDL until just a few years ago. And that was an incredible part of my life. It was great. It just kind of all came together at that time. Like, I could do this. That's how I got the job, because I could do it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't long haul driving. It was just in town.
Right. It was local. I put in like 13, 14, 15-hour days. But by the time you count my drive to work and back. Yeah. But I was home every night. I had 4 kids. So I was out hanging clothes on the line at 5 a.m. And taking them back down when I came home.
Good grief.
So what's the most fun thing about driving a dump truck?
Oh, the admiring looks and the bug eyes and the, like, what? Yeah. Well, I started out driving a school bus, and I was seeing this woman in town driving a dump truck for an outfit that I knew was Teamster. And I was thinking, why am I driving a school bus listening to all this baloney for $2 and something an hour? And I know she's making $11.87. I knew what the Teamster rate was. But I had a friend that worked for this outfit, and I had been telling him I want to drive a truck. And I told everybody I want to drive a truck. I know I can do it. So he called me one day and said, hey, they're going to hire a woman. Get down here and see if you can get in. And I did. My tractor trailer driving training was 2 days. Actually, it was a day and a half. Then they took me out to get my license. And while I was getting my license, I had it in the bag, and I made one last turn in that short training period. They didn't tell me about the mirror and the trailer and all this stuff. So I wiped out one of Sam's big blue mailboxes on my driver test. Did not get the license, but I did get the job. They said, you can do it. You come back and we'll work with you a little bit on that turning corners. And I went back out and got my license and worked for 10 years.
That's awesome.
And never ran over any more mailboxes either.
I'm sure the local post office was very grateful for that as well.
They were, and there was only one letter in it anyway, so big deal.
Small favors.
Yeah.
That is just so, to me, that is just so, amazing. I mean, I'm, and like from my point of view, I'm a woman in management. I've been, managing customer service teams. I started, I tell people, I started in customer service when there were 2 Germanys and I was legally allowed to drink in both of them. And I did, but, even here in the Netherlands, which is a little more, woman friendly than some places in the world, I still have people that, question my ability, and I'm like,
old habits die hard.
Yeah, well, so do men with knitting needles in their sternum. I'm just saying,
And I got a question for Annie. Sorry to shut you down, Misty.
No.
So Ben's asked, what did you ask Ben? What was the favorite part of the job?
The best or most fun thing about driving a dump truck? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Proving that I could do it.
Okay.
That's most fun.
Yeah. But it's hard work. Let's make no mistake here. Driving a truck is not easy, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, it is not.
What made it hard? What's hard about it?
Well, actually, whatever your load, when I hauled asphalt, I had to actually climb into the back of the trailer and take a scraper and scrape things loose and make sure the bed was clean before I got another load. Oh. Another thing I had to do was climb up on top of the load of hot asphalt and grab the tarp and roll it backwards out over the tarp, out over the bed of the truck, and then get back down and bungee cord it all down tight. And it was, there was work. I couldn't do it today. And I used to think, how are these old guys in their 60s doing this? Because it's a stretch for me, and I'm 40 years old. And I was never really athletic, but I looked athletic getting in and out of the back of that trailer.
Yeah.
And I did what I had to do.
It's a good workout, I imagine.
Yeah, it was. And bouncing along in a truck, I couldn't even eat lunch because we didn't stop for lunch. Yeah. And I couldn't eat while I bounced, and it just, it was hard work. It was grueling and so satisfying, so much fun.
Really? So to hear that it was grueling but also satisfying is not something I'm used to hearing in my professional. But I guess that kind of makes sense. Grueling and satisfying. So you go home knowing you actually accomplished something, you've done something, your muscles are screaming at you a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this was when, the 80s, the early 80s?
Yes, it was from 1980 to 1990.
I got it. And was Volvo making trucks during that time?
Yes.
But you did not drive the Volvos.
No, mostly drove Mack. Sometimes I drive something else. The dump trucks, the tandem dump trucks were usually Fords, sometimes an International. Yeah. There's only two places to shift a Mack, 1100 and 2150. If you try anything else, you're going to have to stop, go back to zero.
Really? Now,
Especially on the hill.
So, wait, Annie, are you joking, or is this like a thing? Yeah.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Why for those 2 points?
I guess just the combination of the engine slowing enough to catch the next gear. And without, if you get in too much trouble, you can always double clutch. But, that was kind of a thing. But it was fun. Yeah. And somebody taught me that when I had no idea. The boys that trained me didn't tell me that. As a matter of fact, a couple of them tried to trick me. But I had already got the heads up, so they didn't get to trick me too much. They were great people. They were really great people. I never had any trouble with men. I get along good with men.
Yeah.
But anyway, the 1100 and 2150, one of my old friends told me that, and I thought, man, I'll try that and see what happens. I must have complained to him. I don't remember. And so going up, you hit 1100 RPMs, you shift. Coming down, you hit 2150 and you shift down.
Yep.
So piece of cake.
Wow. The things you learn. I've never driven anything small, larger than a U-Haul truck.
Right. I've driven cars that idle at 1100.
Yeah, no kidding.
I've parked a couple of semi-tractors, but not taken them on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea what speed what RPMs my mom's Dodge Ram 250 Cummins diesel inline six turbo idled, but I do know that it idled at 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Annie, we talked briefly about tires, but the tires on the Cadillac are these beautiful white walls.
Yes.
Are they hard to find, and how often do you have to replace them?
They're not too hard to find, and you wouldn't have to replace them very often if you weren't doing what I'm doing. But we don't tear up the good tires. They're radial tires. They last just like any other tire would until you start peeling the rubber off of them, and then they don't last so good.
Right.
But our crew is always look out for used tires. My grandson bought me 4 white walls just a few months ago that I think he paid $200 for all of them. But the tires I buy for the road, like when we went to California, we went on Diamondback tires, and they're over $300 a piece. So it makes a pretty nice ride.
I imagine. Good gosh.
And one thing I want to mention about the California trip, there's some misconception that I started doing burnouts on my California trip. They're 2 separate incidents. My son and I that built the car went to California last spring in June, but I had already been doing burnouts, and I did not do any burnouts on that trip. I don't know how that got confused, but 2 separate issues.
Yeah, no, I get it. So the California trip, how long did that take?
We were gone 9 days. We did 4,200 miles in 9 days at 80, 90 miles an hour with the windows down, no air, out across the 115-degree desert.
Oh.
And I wanted to see Santa Monica and where the road ended, Route 66, because I grew up on Route 66.
Mm-hmm.
And James wanted to see the Grand Canyon. And so, I mean, it was a fabulous trip. We'll never either one forget about it. It was so much fun.
You've already answered my next question. What was the most memorable part about it? But aside from the Grand, I mean, I can't imagine going out.
That was really something. And Santa Monica, it is a gorgeous place. I mean, too congested for me. We live out in the sticks where there's hardly a neighbor. And to get there, coming in on the 10, they call it the 10. We're going like Interstate 10. No, it's the 10. We went in on the 10 and made it all the way to the ocean. The second day out, we went to Amarillo the first day. I drove most of the way, and then I kept hitting the rumble strips and waking him up. So he made me let him drive. He said, "You just sit over there and gawk." And he said that was the most fun for him, seeing how much fun I was having. So yeah, it was great.
That is so cool. So please, again, tell us about the car. I know I've seen it, but we haven't discussed this for our listeners yet. So it's a Cadillac.
Yes, it's a 1957 Series 62 Coupe DeVille. And it started out, it had the original engine, which was a 365 cubic engine, one of the early choices for hot rodders back in the 50s, because it had so much torque to lift that thing off the ground. I mean, it took a lot to get that old 4,500-pound Cadillac going. So it had that engine in it, and I ran that the first year, couple of years, I guess. And then we talked about it, and he decided to put a big block Chevy in it. So it's had two different ones. One of them he took out of his motorboat, put in there, and it even kind of sounded like a motorboat to me. It was great. But it's got a big block Chevy. Started out as a 454, and then he put a 1/4 inch of stroke in it and bored it to 30. So that made it 530 horsepower.
Yeah,
turned out to be a 489. I used to say it was a 496, but I think that was one of the other engines. Mm-hmm. But anyway, this one puts out 540 horsepower on pump gas. He's a drag racer, so he'll denote pump gas from any other kind of gas.
Sure.
And
right.
Yeah. So, and then it's got the all original interior, power windows, seats, brakes, steering, everything. It had a steering problem at one of my burnout contests, and I had to go backwards to get back up to get up lined up, and I had to turn around, and my power steering was acting so goofy, and I'd go forward, go back, go forward. Well, which I thought was a negative thing, but it actually got the crowd really hyped up. And that's really fun for me, because I actually think I'm high when this is going on. It's so much fun. I just get like, woo, can't hardly even believe it.
I can't imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so much fun. But then what else can I tell you about the car? Oh, it's got a 700 R4 transmission.
Okay.
I think that's kind of old school. He says just standard old stuff. MSD ignition, Holley Sniper EFI. And let's see, what else?
Just falling in love with every word you say. I'm just
old school stuff, he says. Standard old stuff. Oh, stock posi rear end, and it burns both tires, which mystifies us really, because the positive traction didn't really come out until it came out in a Pontiac, I think a year or two later, and we're trying to figure out how this, he says original rear end, so it could have been something special. I don't know, but it smokes both tires, so we know they're both spinning. So anyway, that's about the car. He did some body work. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, it's probably just so much power that you're overwhelming the positive traction.
That could be. That could be. He did some body work on it. Needs a little bit more now. One of the doors is kind of rusting, but I guess that's character. We don't really pay too much attention to that. I say it doesn't bother me because it's on the passenger side, and I don't usually even see it.
Right.
Because I'm on the other side.
It's good, authentic rust.
Yes, yeah. But he had a dune buggy that he had built, and some guy had he had two Cadillacs. One of them was in better shape than the other. Mine was supposed to be the parts car, but it's turned out to be, I took one look at it and said, I want that car. And if I say I want it, he's going to get it. So I got the car. Excellent. It's going to be his someday anyway. But so the other one never did get built. We're using it for parts.
So he builds old cars and hot rods for a living.
Yeah, he does. He has a shop. Yep. Yeah. And he drag races, and now my grandsons are drag racing, and they do paintless dent removal. They're all in the more or less in the car world. My other grandson, not his child, but another one is he's an equipment operator, and he's all about the cars too. So it's just a lot of fun with them.
Living the dream, or at least living my dream. I'm kind of jealous.
That sounds so much like my family. My granddad was a mechanic. He only had one son. My uncle's probably the best automatic GM automatic transmission man in the area. His oldest son is a mechanic. His youngest son is a paint and body man. So it's definitely addictive. I mean, I love picking my car up from service and kind of cruising through the garage and going, and I'm like, I am home.
I'm home, exactly.
And
you can probably identify brake fluid from transmission fluid just by the smell.
Just by the smell.
Oh yeah,
Ben, you were about to ask?
I was going to say, well, I'm generally more of a foreign car guy. I would love to have a big old classic Cadillac. I just don't have any place I can park it.
It takes two garages.
It just looks so elegant, and it just looks so smooth running down the road. It's like, I just watching the video. It's like, okay, I get it. That's what I want to do.
It is smooth. I tell you, that 9-day trip. Now I was tired when we got home, but you got to remember, I'm 80 years old. Just had my birthday. But
happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Thank you. I was tired. I was exhilarated, tired at the same time. If you get that, but that car, I mean, it was just I could have just lived in it. We probably could have saved a hotel.
Right.
Annie, you mentioned your offspring in terms of how they're into cars and being into cars, which prompts me to ask one question I'd written down here about car culture. From where you are experiencing car culture with, doing the stuff you do in burnout contests, is car culture changing, and how do you think it's changing, if you think it's changing?
Well, I guess, it's certainly changed since the 50s, hasn't it? But, the war was over and everybody got a car. And I mean, it was became a world, the car culture. And I say it started in California, but the boys from Detroit argue about that, But there was so much going on in California. And I know about street racing. I know about, we saw that out in front of our house growing up. That was part of it. I don't think they do that so much anymore. That's rightly so outlawed. You can't drag race on the street, kill somebody, and nobody wants to hurt anybody. But I mean, you just look at like NASCAR, the old cars in NASCAR, even in the 60s and 70s, and how now when the 80s and 90s, the imports showed up, and it still kind of horrifies me. There's Toyotas at NASCAR. In the NASCAR race? No, that's wrong.
That does not seem right.
No, it doesn't to an old person, I guess. But it's all shifted and changed, and now people are more about maybe more comfort. There's not probably a lot of people would want to go to California with no air conditioning out across the desert. That's probably changed. She's raising her hand. I see you, Misty.
I hate air conditioning. I'm like, my favorite air conditioning actually is like 260 air conditioning.
2 windows, 60 miles an hour. Yeah,
exactly.
That explains why you drive a convertible.
Yeah, that is. I mean,
I'm with you though. I think open road, open window, bring it on. That's
yeah. Like even like right now it's spring, it's starting to spring here in the Netherlands. So the farmers are starting to fertilize their field, and they use cow manure that has generally
want to smell it. Yeah.
I didn't want to smell it quite that much as I did yesterday, but but on the other hand, I was like, it's good to be alive.
Yeah, it is. One of the things that's different to me too is, and I think this is probably more pronounced now than it was 35 years ago when I married my husband, was a second husband. I've had 2 husbands. Anyway, who cares? So good old Rick. Now he doesn't go with me on the shows so much, but he rides Harleys. So he goes one way on a Harley, I go on the Cadillac the other way, and we meet for lunch. Works great.
There you go.
Nice.
But and he always, to him, a car, when we first met, and I had, it was like, look at that, this is all, and this cool, all these different cars and stuff. And he'd say, a car, it just gets me to work. That's all I care about, just gets me to work. And I'm like, who says that? Who says that? But now I understand it. And he's still the same way, although he's got a pretty cool truck that he likes. But he never really came around to my idea of the car culture. He's riding Harleys. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And he likes my car. He supports what I do, and he's paying for most of it. So
that's the most important part.
Yeah. That's
any
a big
form
deal.
of motorsports, being able to pay the bills is the biggest part.
I got one last question. Does anyone else want to wrap up their list before I finish?
Well, I was wondering, Andy, how did you first get started in doing burnout contests?
I was at the shop one day, and there was a car show we were going to go to in the neighboring town, Speed Demons at Bunker Hill. My friend Mark Fleeger. And one of our boys at the shop said, hey, they're having a burnout contest. Why don't you just enter the burnout contest? I said, well, okay, I can do that. And so we practiced a couple times on the driveway at the shop, and I left great big huge piles of rubber, and they said, yeah, you can do it. So that's what we did. We got in that contest, and I won that one, and then went to another one and won that one, went to another one. So I won about 4 contests. But I think part of my winning is it's the gray hair and the 80 years old. It's this old lady. She's a crazy old lady, and she's doing this. And so we're going to scream and yell and holler, and that's how you win. It's all good.
That's absolutely awesome. Right. Anyone else? Misty, Tim?
I'm over here just quietly fangirling.
Yep.
So
my last question before we get to our usual ending questions. If you were handed a blank check and tasked with going to buy a brand new car today, what would you buy?
White Cadillac Blackwing. 648 horsepower, 6-speed manual transmission.
Nice.
Fun.
I mean,
Ugh.
did you not even a hesitation, just bang
No.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a lot of difference from what I got to drive last week on my business trip. My rental car last week was a Cadillac XT4, the little small SUV, and it was very nice as that kind of car goes. But
Yeah. Well, I like SUVs too, but I think I'd have to have that four
it costs
door.
more, yeah, it costs more than my Mazda, but my Mazda has more features actually. So
Yeah, that's one thing that you and I always agree about, Ben, is that, Mazdas for us are kind of like
Yeah.
the baseline,
yeah,
It's, absolutely amazing cars, but, like I said, I mean, I grew up in a garage. My granddad was very much General Motors. My deep-seated and very, very vocalized dislike of Fords, started with my granddad. But I always used to laugh because, my granddad, he was a World War II veteran, and here he was living in this little bitty podunk town in like northeast Georgia, right by South Carolina. Always worked on Chevys, GMs, Pontiac, Dodge, etc., and drove Opals.
Oh, Buick Opal. Buick made Opal.
Nope.
Nope.
Annie,
Yes.
Misty is so vocal about being anti-Ford that she's actually influenced my decision to every time I think, I should get a new car. How about this Ford? Oh, Misty will never talk to me again.
Yeah. It's like, what was it? It's been like sometime last year, we actually had a listener question. It was like two Fords,
Yeah.
Which one would you rather drive in Atlanta or Boston rush hour traffic? And my answer was, I'll walk, thanks.
Take a cab. Call Uber.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, nah. I mean, I will literally walk on 285 in Friday rush hour traffic before I drive a Ford.
I might not go that far.
All right, Annie, let's ask these 4 questions that we always ask our guests at the end of the guest segment here. And I sent the first 3 to you. So what is your dream car?
Well, I would have to say I'm driving my dream car, that Cadillac.
Yeah.
My dream car would have always been a 50s car. But you asked while ago about a new car, and that would be that Cadillac. So I guess, and my point, I don't want to buy a new car, but that would be pretty cool to have. If somebody gave me one, I'd drive it, but I'm not going to go buy one.
No, absolutely not. And it looks like a dream. Absolutely. Number 2, where's your next road trip going to be?
Well, the longest road trip we're going to do this summer, I think, is in August. We're going to Ohio. It's about 9 hours from home, and it's called the Rockabilly Ruckus. A guy named Ed and his wife, Nicole Stanton, do it every year, and they have a dirt track. They're going to let me drive on the dirt track. They're going to have a little race. I'm going to drag race my Cadillac on the dirt. It's going to be a hoot, so I'm looking forward to that. But before that, I got about 5 or 6 other places I'll be going, locally, more local.
Sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Number 3, what's the most fascinating thing you've seen while on the road, or maybe in someone's garage?
You said that. I'm prepared for this because I think the most fascinating thing to me is what my son has been able to do with his vocation he chose, building cars. Mm-hmm. He's been a drag racer. He's got a pro mod. He's working on a funny car now. I'm watching the kids come along behind him. It's just, that is fascinating to me to see it all. And my dad and my brother used to take turns riding in the trunk, listen to the pipes. So this goes way back for me. And so to see these, my dad's great grandkids interested in cars, it fascinates me.
Yep, that is so cool.
It's fascinating.
And the 4th question is always something silly and random, and I might ask 2 of them. What's your favorite ice cream?
Boy, Oberweis ice cream in Aurora, Illinois. They have their own dairy, and they have a product called chocolate peanut butter. And I probably gained 100 pounds eating chocolate peanut butter ice cream through the years. Maybe 100. I'm probably at least 80 pounds overweight, and I could say probably 60 of it is Oberweis ice cream.
Oberweis ice cream. I am writing this down.
Right. Okay, it's incredible. The highest butterfat that I know of content. It won't even melt. It just sits there.
That's hilarious.
Nice. This trip up that way.
Yeah, road trip. Yeah. We on at least I with the podcast. I'm like, we need to do a road trip of some sort. Pile into different cars and just start driving around. If we could find
y'all
someone
would come
to
over
sponsor.
here,
yeah.
If y'all could come over here, I mean, it's it is super simple for us to do the
Autobahn.
Alphen aan de Rijn, Netherlands to Odense, Denmark. That's about an 8-hour road trip. 90% of that is on the Autobahn.
So
And we could let her loose on the Autobahn.
that's right.
I actually did that trip last summer. It was actually a business trip for me at the time.
But you did it in 30 minutes.
No, you keep accusing me of this, and all because one time I said I did the Atlanta to Tampa run, which should be a 9-hour trip in 7.5.
Yeah, been there. Yeah.
So it was a pretty good trip, Dutch land to Denmark it's an amazing road trip, and there are no ham and cheese sandwiches.
I know that's an inside joke.
Yeah, it's another one of those things. We used to go to Spain for holidays, and so we'd go through France. We'd stop in France, and everybody thinks the French have amazing food. There is nothing more disgusting on God's green earth than their gas station ham and cheese sandwiches.
Oh.
I'm like, that is an abomination unto the Lord.
Well, speaking of the Lord, he's top priority around here.
Yeah.
And he rides with me on all these burnouts. He's the one telling me to do a burnout. So he left me here to do all this crazy stuff. So I'm doing it.
Awesome.
That's
Amen.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All right. One more silly question. One more stupid. We'll pick what's the biggest kitchen fail you've ever had?
Oh boy. I'm known for my failures, so it'd be hard to say. When I guess getting things on fire. I had something on fire in the broiler at Thanksgiving with marshmallows on top of the sweet potatoes, and it blazed so much it burned out the unit. It just burned up the stove. I guess that's probably the biggest one. My kids always
Burnouts
said,
in the kitchen and with the car. All right.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
the kids always said, where there's smoke, there's dinner. That's Mom.
Yeah.
Annie, it has been a real pleasure having you on the Thing About Cars
Thank you.
today.
It's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Tim, let's wrap up with the trivia answer.
Okay, we'll take it from the top of what was the first mass-produced American brand car to have an engine with 1 horsepower or more per cubic inch of displacement? Was it the 1956 Chrysler 300, the 1957 Corvette, the 58 Ford Thunderbird, or the 57 Continental? So Annie, ladies first.
I'm going to have to go with the Chrysler, I guess.
Okay. All right.
I don't know, but I'm going to guess.
Sure. Yeah. Believe me, a lot of times when I find this stuff out, it's all guesses before I actually.
I have no clue. I actually have no clue. I said a Buick earlier.
No. Okay. Yeah. All right. So a Chrysler for Annie, and Ben for you.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Chrysler too, not for any real reason other than just that little voice just kind of says that's probably it.
Okay. Misty?
I'm going with the Corvette. Like, I'm following the voices in my head, which probably I should report that to my therapist.
Right. And finally, Mickey.
Gosh, my little voice is saying Chrysler 300, but I'm for the just to be a contrarian, let's go with the Continental.
Okay, gotcha. According to automotiveevolution.com, it was the 354 cubic inch displacement V8 in the 1956 Chrysler 300. That if you ordered it with a 10-to-1 compression ratio engine and ran premium gas in it, you would get that one horsepower per cubic inch of displacement. Now, according to the folks at General Motors, they say that the 57 Corvette was actually the first one that did it. I think because you had to know which boxes to tick on the Chrysler 300 buying sheet, but and the Corvette one was more available as just the standard option package. But yeah, the official answer being the 56 Chrysler 300.
Wow.
It was a pretty revolutionary car for performance in some ways at the time. So yeah.
Knocked out by a technicality.
Annie, thanks again for being our guest. This has been an absolute pleasure. If you're ever in Atlanta, please let us know.
I will. That's great. I loved it. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and if you have anything else to come back to the show with, we'd certainly welcome you on the microphone at any time. So
great.
This has been great. If people wanted to find you or learn more about you and your car, where should they look?
Well, I'm on Facebook as Annie Koehler, Koehlar. And I'm on, I told you, YouTube, Hot Rod Granny Annie. And Instagram, I think that's the same on Instagram. I have a TikTok, but I haven't quite figured that all out yet. I need some help with this, but I also need a tire sponsor.
Yes.
So I'm just kind of winging my way and letting things go as they come along. So
Well, we wish you luck and a ton of success and a tire sponsor. I hope that's on the list.
thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Amen.
Take
Thanks,
care,
guys.
everybody. We'll see you with another episode in about a week. You guys be safe out there.
See ya.
Laters.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Thing About Cars. We'll see you on the road.